Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. In today's match of tea, I'm going to be making rose petal and allspice tea, and I'm going to explain why, and I'll be going over some other variations for you so that you can be creative and come up with your own blends. But before I continue on with that, let me go ahead and read to you some benefits of allspice and why I want to try this today, because I've yet to try the allspice with the rose petals, but I think it's going to be a great blend based on its flavor, but also based on these health benefits. And let me read these to you real quick. They're a great immune booster. They're antioxidant, which means they help fight and prevent cancer as well as being anti-aging. They're good for dental health, circulation, blood circulation, which means that's going to help speed up healing to any part of the body that may be wounded. So anything that's going to help with circulation is going to help with healing just about anything in the body. It's good for heart health, makes sense. Helping to have strong bones, which is really good for those of us who are at my age and above. You've gone through menopause, you're going through menopause, having good strong bones is very important. It's good for boosting your energy, helping with your brain function. It's good for relieving menstrual cramps, which means it's going to go really well with the rose petals as a result. It's helpful in curing bacterial and fungal infections. It's helpful for depression. Again, a good coupling with the rose petals, and also for other menopausal related symptoms. So that list, so several of the things on that list made me realize it's going to go very well as far as health benefits with the rose petals. And if you haven't seen my rose petal video, I just put one out. I'll go ahead and link to it right up here. And I go over a lot of the health benefits. It's more than just good for women's health. They're great for skin and other things, but you can watch that video and see why. But because of the benefits to women's health in the rose petals, especially as far as a tea that you're going to drink internally, and that coupled with the allspice, it just seems to me a great combination. Now, allspice, I used to think when I was a kid that allspice simply meant, because I've always seen it in the ground form, that it was just a blend of cinnamon, cloves, and nutmeg. Then I find out that it is one spice all to itself that is similar to the taste of a mix of cinnamon, nutmeg, and cloves, which again is another reason why I think it's going to blend really well with my rose petals, because my favorite blend to do with the rose petals is to combine it with whole cloves. I'll show you about how much I use. Probably about that much, which might be about 10 or so. If you don't like it that strong, I would say cut it back to half. I like it pretty strong. And then 1 to 2 cinnamon sticks. And of course these are organic, and the cinnamon is the Ceylon cinnamon. Now I'll get to making the tea in a minute. I want to talk about some other blends. Another thing you can add to any kind of herb tea that you're going to make is your dandelion root. Now I did a video over a year ago that happens to be pretty popular. It shows me harvesting the dandelion root in the spring, just because around here that's the easiest time to harvest it, and also dandelion root tastes best in the spring. However, it is said that it's going to have its most medicinal benefits, its highest medicinal and health benefits, if harvested in the fall, because then it's had all summer to grow and get all that sunshine and all that good stuff. But you have to keep in mind it's also more bitter when harvested in the fall. But this year I'm going to try harvesting some in the fall and then just see what the difference is as far as flavor. But anyway, here's a jar of dandelion root that I've put together, and this is from last year. I still haven't used much of it. I don't add it to enough teas because I keep forgetting about it. But it has kind of especially when you kind of let it toast a little bit, basically I just dehydrate it. It has a more woody taste. It's very mild, and it blends pretty good with other herbs if you don't go overboard and adding too much. But because of the great health benefits of it, I'd recommend adding it to whatever tea you're going to blend. Now another option that I've tried several times with the rose petals is combining it with my mojito mint or other mints, which is what I have here. And also pineapple weed. Pineapple weed's another good one, and also couples well with the rose petals because of its great benefits to women's health. And I have a video on the pineapple weed as well. I'll go ahead and link to it right up here so you can check out that and learn about some of the benefits of that. Now, you can use dried rose petals. I have lots of dried rose petals. Typically when I'm making teas this time of year, as long as things are growing fresh, I rarely use my dried herbs. I will go for the fresh herbs when I'm making tea at this time of the year. But soon, very soon, we'll be getting into the time of year where most of this stuff, just like my pineapple weed, I don't have very much because it's just kind of getting to the point where it's finishing up. So then I'll be using the pineapple weed I've already dehydrated up during the summer. So yeah, anyway, that's when I'll get in to start using the dried herbs. And that's what most of these back here are. These are all herbs that I use for teas, and a lot of them some of them are store-bought. You know, I bought from either Amazon, always go for organic, non-GMO, or mountain rose herbs. But a lot of these are things that I've also grown too. And then there's the orange peels. Another good option, especially if you're going to use the cinnamon and clove, is to throw in your organic dried orange peel, or even just organic dried orange slices. I'm running low. I need to get some more organic oranges. Now, some other things you can do with your tea, if let's say you brew up your tea and you decide, if you're like me and you like just lots and lots of flavor, and you decide it's just not flavorful enough, or maybe the taste of the rose petals or whatever it is, whatever herb that you were brewing, just you're not super crazy about, I recommend putting, you know, you've already got it brewed, so maybe you don't want to have to brew it again, then just take a pinch of the mixed spice. Now, I have a video on this. I'll go ahead and link to it up here so you can see what all's in this. And I'll do this quite a bit if I'm like, this just needs a boost. So I'll take a pinch or more and put that in there, and that just really helps with the flavor. And there's a lot of really good stuff in there. You'll find things like cinnamon, cloves, allspice, nutmeg. They all have very similar health benefits, and that's also why I think that's the same reason why I think they blend well together. Now, another option, if you really want to kick, is to throw in a pinch of red pepper flakes. I find that when I put these in tea, that really boosts the spice of the red pepper. Usually when I just bake with it, it's, you know, it doesn't seem to make things that hot, but when I put a pinch of this in the tea, it really adds some spice to it, and I love it. And, you know, obviously red pepper's got a lot of great benefits that I won't talk about now because this video will be too long if I try to talk about the health benefits of all these. That's why I try to do separate videos. So let's get to making this tea. Now, I'm going to use fresh rose petals, and what I have in here, typically what I do is the roses are coming in, and I'm to the point already that I've got more than I need dried up, and so I'm trying to use a lot of them fresh, you know, adding them to, I'll be making apple butters pretty soon, so I'll be adding them to apple butters. I have a hot sauce recipe I'm going to be making for going with egg rolls, and I plan on adding them to that as well. But so what I do while I'm waiting for that time to make whatever is I just take the fresh rose petals as soon as the rose opens up and stick them in a jar so that they don't wilt on me and disappear before I have a chance to use them up. I'm sure you could also freeze them. So I'm going to take, I think I have like 3 full flowers in here. So I'm going to put 1 whole flower's worth of petals in there to start with. And then with the allspice, since it's not as strongly flavored as cloves, I feel like I could put a little bit more than I would with the cloves. I'm going to go for a nice big handful, like that. And I'm going to drop that in there. And so then after I brew it up, if I decide it just needs a little more spice, a little more flavor, then I'll go ahead and put in some of my mixed spice. So I'll just put a pinch of that. And in fact, while I'm at it, I think I am going to go ahead and put a pinch of the red pepper because I haven't done this in a while, and I love spicy tea. It's my favorite. In fact, before I started making my own teas, my favorite store-bought tea was Bengal Spice, the celestial seasonings. I loved the Bengal spice so much that I even years ago, this is quite a few years ago, bought a mug. Isn't it lovely? But the other reason why is I'm crazy about tigers. I just think they're such a beautiful animal, one of my favorites. And so still one of my very favorite mugs. But the price, you know, one of the things that got me into making my own tea wasn't just wanting to go more organic and natural. It was because the cost of the teas kept going up and up and up, and it was getting to where it's like, man, I can't even afford this. Well, now I can make teas for practically free. Obviously, the things I have to buy, like cinnamon and cloves and the allspice and nutmeg and all that kind of stuff, doesn't make it free. But it is so much cheaper, even if I had to buy all the herbs and spices to make my own mixes, so much cheaper to make your own, and you know exactly what's going in it. You know whether or not it's organic and non-GMO. And if you can grow a lot of the herbs yourself, like the rose petals and the mints and the pineapple weed and so on and so forth, then you know you can make your tea for pretty much free. Okay, so then the next thing I'm going to do is pour in my filtered rainwater. And yes, we do have a rainwater collection system. And yes, someday when we remember and get a chance, we'll do a video more focused on that. But we do talk a little bit about it. People have been asking us a lot lately in our part 2 of our How and Why We Prepare series. And I'll link to that video right up here. And we have some pictures of it in there. And eventually we'll do another one just focused on it. Now, if I was going to be putting the mints in here, I would be crushing them and twisting them to really help release the flavor. But with the rose petals, they're delicate enough that I don't have to worry about that. And on top of that, when you're putting harder things in like this or your cinnamon stick, you're going to want to brew it longer anyway and make it more like a decoction, which is what I do because I like my teas very, very strong. Typically with delicate things, you're just going to pour your hot water over it and then let it sit for a few minutes. But I like things to be fully infused, as strong as I can get it. So then all I do is pour my water right over the top. Whoop. And then I'm going to put it, if this is winter time, I'd be putting it on my wood stove, but since it's not winter, I'll be putting it on my hot plate that is hooked up to our solar power, and I'm going to let it brew for probably about 15 minutes to a half an hour. Okay, well the tea is all done. I've let it brew for at least 15 minutes, and then I let it sit for a few minutes after I took it off the heat. And now I'm going to pour it and we'll see what it looks like and what it tastes like. So it has a real nice color. Sort of a pinkish brown, which is about what I would expect with rose petals and allspice. And now for the taste test. It sure smells good. It's very hot, but it tastes really good. Now it does have that little bit of kick because of the red pepper in it, but for me, I think I could use a little bit more spice. So I'll be sprinkling a little bit of my mixed spice in there, but I think for a lot of people, they would like it just the way it is. I just like things very strong, very spicy. So a lovely cup of tea. The color is beautiful. Very nice flavor, so I recommend you give this one a try, or at least try it with the cinnamon and the cloves, or even some nutmeg if you like spice. And if you don't, I would just go back to the other herbs that I mentioned and keep it more mild, and I think it just have a really enjoyable cup of tea that is super good for your health. Okay, well I hope you enjoyed this video and that you learned something new. Oh, and please share with us down below if you have any herbal blends or spice blends that you like to put together for your teas. Thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.